So you're probably one of the many millions of people around the world who have a Netflix account. So I've been using Netflix for more than 10 years, and I could safely say that Netflix is unwatchable. Now, there's many reasons for that, but I'm going to be going over my top 3 reasons. And you might not feel this way. Maybe you absolutely love Netflix and binge it all day and night, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. These are just my thoughts, opinions, and experiences. So let's start off with the first and obvious thing, and that is the content and the offerings that they're providing. I just think progressively over the years, it's just gotten worse. Mainly because Netflix has basically produced their own movies and shows, and I think they kind of had to because they were licensing out from other studios. So Netflix, they are their own studios. And most of the movies and shows on Netflix, Netflix originals, for me, they're just the same. You know, there's the same type of stuff, and they are predictable in a lot of ways, and they're boring. Most of them are not very memorable, even the ones that have big budgets and have big stars. Now, the only exception to that, at least for me, are their international offerings. I love watching international movies and shows, and I still think Netflix does the best in providing that. And then the other thing with the content that is really starting to annoy me is this right here. This is at the very top banner. This is a game. And then after top searches, it's games. Then after the top shows, it's games. I understand that Netflix needs to find ways to monetize other than movies and shows, but I don't come to Netflix for games. I absolutely find it very, very annoying, and I kind of feel Netflix is going to push this even further. Now, that is the first reason, the overall content, including the games content. Now, let's go to the big ones. Starting with the biggest one for me is ads. I absolutely hate having ads, especially for services that I pay for. And previously, I was paying for the premium, but now I just went to the basic, and well, now you have ads. And I'm currently not paying for my Netflix plan because I get it quote unquote free through my cell phone plan, but I still absolutely hate the experience. And I kind of feel in the future, they're going to add ads to all their plans, and all the platforms are doing this. So it's probably something that's not going to go away. And when it says ads right here, less than you might think, making it seem like it's better, which it doesn't. Just don't put ads on here. So this reminds me so much of cable, and I hated cable, and most people left cable for reasons like that. But now this is worse than cable. And with the ads on Netflix, I think it's worse than cable because of these internet type platforms. They could actually collect a lot of data on you, and they know practically everything that you're doing when you're watching these shows. Not just what you watch, how long you watch, but what you're clicking on, what you're interested in. You know, they use all this data to market and sell to you, and they have a lot of information on you that you might not be aware of. So data privacy is a big thing, and by having ads, it just makes things a million times worse that you might not realize. Which leads to the other thing, and on their plans and pricing, of course, things continually increase, but now you actually have to be limited by where you can watch, you know, how you can use your Netflix account. Because before, I think what most people did, they just used the same account and they would share it with other people, right? And I understand that that is taking money away from Netflix, but whenever you do things like adding this sharing Netflix and you have to pay for it, and how they limit where you watch your Netflix account together in a household, that is horrible. Because if you are outside of your household, and this is kind of random, but when they first rolled out this feature, if I left my house, because they could track you by your IP addresses where you're logging into, you can't watch Netflix unless you're inside your household or in your country or all those things. And I absolutely hate it. I hate that so much. And it just makes the entire experience just horrible. Not only are you seeing ads, but you're limited to where you can watch your Netflix shows, movies. You can use your account unless you pay for extra. And who knows, you know, what other limitations that they'll put on this later on. You know, so, you know, this is just not a good experience, I think, for anyone. I don't think there's a single person, I hope not, that would say they enjoy having ads, they enjoy paying more, and they enjoy having limitations on where they could watch or where they can have access to their Netflix account. Yeah. So those are my top 3 reasons why I feel Netflix is unwatchable: the content, the ads, the limitations of where you can watch it, and I'll add a bonus one: the continually increasing prices. So with all of those things, I rarely watch Netflix anymore, and because, like I said, it's just simply unwatchable. So what am I using to replace that? Well, most of the times I'm watching stuff on Tubi. Now, there are ads on here, but it's free. And also, a lot of the entertainment options they provide, they're really good. They have a lot of great options here. And if you wanted to watch it without ads, you could use a browser like Brave, which has ad blockers, or you could, use ad blocker apps or ad blocker extensions. You know what I mean? So there are ways around that, and it works really well. And then the other obvious place is YouTube. Now, I don't use YouTube the same way that I use Netflix or Tubi, but there's just the best entertainment here is on YouTube. I mean, I'm a content creator, so I absolutely love YouTube, and it's my number one place. But with the combination of YouTube and Tubi, I'm honestly not really missing anything with Netflix. And so that's kind of why I feel, for me, Netflix is unwatchable. And the only reasons why I still have it is because, I get it through my cell phone provider as part of, what I pay for every month. And so, yeah, so those are my thoughts on that. If you actually had any thoughts on this or any other streaming platforms that you use, be sure to leave in the comments area below. And I'll see you on another episode.